Ramaciotti Medal honours an individual who has received a Ramaciotti grant in the past and has made an outstanding contribution to clinical or biomedical research, or the way in which healthcare is delivered. Professor Chris Goodnow, head of the Department of Immunology at the John Curtin School of Medical Research, has spent the last 25 years working in the field of immunology, specifically in the treatment of autoimmune disease, transplant rejections, and chronic infections.
I've been working, for 25 years trying to understand how the immune system is regulated, how it avoids going off the rails in one or other direction to cause immune diseases like autoimmune disease, lymphomas, allergy, and it all revolves ultimately around the sort of genetic code that controls and sets the rules by which all the immune cells play by. The key activity that we've been engaged in for the last 10 years is figuring out how those rules work at the gene level, what the genes are and the mechanisms that regulate the immune system, make sure that it doesn't go off the tracks.
In 2007, Chris received a $1 million Ramaciotti Foundation grant which he used to start a new laboratory and team headed by a talented young MD PhD named Ansem Enders. Since then, the research has gathered momentum.
The research that we've done and that we're continuing to do is changing the way that we approach the treatment of autoimmune disease and the treatment of transplant rejection, the treatment of chronic infections, at a very fundamental level.
His team of students have been working to understand how the immune system works at gene level, what the genes are, and how the mechanisms that regulate the immune system work, which ultimately will lead to successful treatment of immune-based diseases that include flu, diabetes, chronic autoimmune disease, lymphomas, and allergy.
When we started out, the thought was that once a transplant rejection reaction had begun or once an autoimmune disease had developed, it was too late. The horse had bolted. What we've revealed is a whole series of rules that essentially act to catch the horse after it's bolted. It's natural mechanisms that the body has that exist as a series of layers. By revealing them, open up ways to develop new treatments. Success to me at the end of my career will be looking back and saying, we cured that disease. We figured out how it worked, and because we figured out what the rules were and what was really going wrong, we've been able to go from just treating the symptoms to actually treating an autoimmune disease at its root cause. When I got the phone call to tell me that I was a 2010 Ramaciotti Medalist, I was flabbergasted. But very nice also just to know that your work is valued and valued by your peers.